Hello, people. My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing the 26 Frank Zappa tours that I have deemed worthy to be called tours. This is one of those possibly contentious ones. And we are now on number 6, 1973, Summer number 2. This probably could have not been taken out and given its own tour designation. And it could have been sort of coupled with Spring, Summer 1973, which was number 8 on my list. I probably could have just combined those, only had 25 tours, called it Spring, Summer 1973. Would have been number 6 on the list. This tour would have pulled up the other one. And so everything else would have been just one higher. Nothing above this would have changed. But I do think that this leg of this band's tour, which is the European leg, it's minus one player who was there for most of it, but not there at the beginning, oddly enough. I do think it's just their game has stepped up a little bit. They're tighter. There's the addition of a couple new songs, which I think make a world of difference. There's songs not played on here, which while enjoyable on Summer 73, ultimately were kind of the same every night, namely Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, that entire suite. That's not played on here. Farther Oblivion sticks around for early part of the show before Bebop Tango makes its debut and Farther Oblivion is dropped. Jean-Luc Ponty, who is in this band, sounds better than he did all year. So even though it's like the same band that's been together since February, mostly the same set list, I do believe that this is just everything I've heard from here sounds great. And so I haven't heard that much. It's only a handful of shows, but I do believe that if I were lucky enough, or any of us were lucky enough to hear every single show from this tour, all of them would be number 6 ranked worthy. Who's in this band? Frank Zappa, guitar, vocals, lead solo, playing a lot of really good rhythm guitar, 73, 74, excellent rhythm guitar with Frank in these years. Tom Fowler on bass, Ralph Humphrey on drums, Ruth Underwood on percussion, George Duke on keyboards, Bruce Fowler on trombone, Jean-Luc Ponty on violin. He would leave after this tour. Ian Underwood on synthesizer and I think clarinet, maybe sax at some point. He leaves after this tour. They had been together since February. Sal Marquez joined in March, added a trumpet, plus some really good Frank Sinatra-style vocals in like the beginning of Inca Roads. Ken Vassie joined as a vocalist for a while in late April and May, singing. He does the Yippee-I-O-Tie-A, Yippee-I-O-Tie-A, Yippee-I-O-Tie-A. He does that at the end of Montana, plus I think sings something else on Overnight Sensation. And then he would only be there for a short while. Then Sal Marquez would leave at the end of the Pacific leg of that tour. And then we got this tour, which is those original people minus Sal Marquez and Ken Vassie. And noticing something as we reach number 6, and even going back to number 8, is that somebody, I think Coaster Magic X2 recently commented about a ranking of like the rhythm sections, because, you know, there's the rhythm sections of each Frank's band give each tour a different flavor. And I think what Frank does, he is responding to the musicians in his band. And I'm realizing that of the top 8, 4 of the top 8 feature both Tom Fowler and George Duke. If we get to the top 6, which we're at now, 3 of those feature Tom Fowler and George Duke, and each of those 3, interestingly enough, features a different drummer. So this is the one that has Humphrey on drums with Fowler and Duke. There is still one to come that is Bozio on drums with Fowler and Duke, and then there's one to come that is Thompson on drums with Fowler and Duke. So my favorite rhythm section is Tom Fowler and George Duke, obviously. Because they are responsible. Yes, they were in a large number of tours, but they're really, really highly ranked in those tours. And it is interesting that the 3 tours that are much lower on the list that did not make the top 10 are the ones that have 2 drummers. So something about 2 drummers limited Frank in some way, or to my ears, ultimately made things less interesting, which is strange. Who knows? But anyways, so that I realized. And so you pretty much get the same set lists every night, just kind of moved around in a different order. Frank's still playing like chunks of songs. get a lot of really good guitar solos, you get good violin solos, you get great trombone solos, you get great clarinet solos. George Duke does his stuff, and the Montana George Duke Dupree's Paradise Madness. Fowler and Humphrey get times to shine. There are times where they do just straight up improvisation, where they're like, hey, let's make something up. You start. Frank conducts the band. People get a chance to solo. Yeah, just high quality show. Where can you hear this band? Because as soon as you're done with this video, if not right now, after you hear where you can hear this, you should go listen to them because they're amazing. Road Tapes Venue 2, not a complete show, but an early, a late, and a next night show from Finland. They took tracks from each of those 3 shows and sort of simulated a set list, an actual concert, longer than the normal concert. It has all the goodies and not, this one we'd only get on one night and that one you get on the next night. We got them all here. That was my number 4 out of the top 55 Zappa Family Trust releases. That alone could have carried this to this spot. But you could also hear them on Piquantique, a Beat the Boots release, a bootleg that Frank, he got really frustrated with bootleggers in the 80s because they were releasing boots that contained all the songs that would be on his next album because Frank performed everything live, and then he would record it and release it and sort of, fine tune it in a live context. So he was getting frustrated. So eventually he went and bought a bunch of boots, put his name on them, as he should, they're his music, and just released them. Didn't remix them, didn't remaster them. One of them was Piquantique, from Sweden. Absolutely fell in love with that bootleg. Listened to it way too much. It has an amazing Dupree's Paradise on it. Has an amazing Farther Oblivion on it. There is a video that exists of it out there on they played. This is from a TV show called Papa, and it's out there on YouTube. I don't know if it's the entire concert, but it's the entire Papa show. I think it's like an hour long. Maybe it's over an hour, but excellent video. And the songs they would play again. Oh, new songs on this tour. This is the tour in which Village of the Sun is debuted, and you now have Village of the Sun, into A Kid Nazar for You, into Don't You Ever Watch That Thing, which is now its like fully developed, grown-up self. Village of the Sun sounds different than every other Village of the Sun. I don't want to call this an early version because it seems pretty complete. This is just version number 1, and then there would be version number 2, and then, every time Frank played this, it seems he tweaked something about it. This one has a beautiful intro. Sounds like an AM radio, Steely Dan, soft rock number, or even like the theme song to like a 70s sitcom. I mean, it's just great and breezy and beachy. Very California-y, not Lancaster-y, because that really is kind of a dust bowl, but it feels more coasty. Like Frank's like, I've been to the Village of the Sun, like I'm from Southern California. The music that opens it is definitely more the Pacific coast than the inland. So it's interesting that he gave it that sort of flavor. But he would drop that, maybe realizing it doesn't fit the actual location. But anyways, no solo in it. George Duke is singing it. Excellent. Into A Kid Nazar, which is an absolutely amazing song, and then Don't You Ever Watch That Thing. So those debuted. Tamershi Deween debuts and becomes a regular part of the rotation, and then Bebop Tango debuts, gets pulled out of Fargo. So yeah, and what Frank did mostly on this tour was he had like, again, the chunks of songs that he sort of moved around. And so any given set list from any given night usually contained all these songs. It was just what order were they played in. So this is one of the set lists from late in the tour. Brown Shoes Don't Make It is the opener. That was also a common encore. I think the Winter 79 band does this version live better than anybody, but this is still really interesting version. You can hear that on Road Tapes Venue 2. Cosmic Debris, you got the Village of the Sun, A Kid Nazar, Don't You Ever Wash trio, which was moved around in different parts of the show. You had this long run of songs, which was common. Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue, Kung Fu, Penguin in Bondage, Exercise 4, which is an Uncle Meat outtake that eventually got rated on Meat Light. Dog Breath Variations, Uncle Meat Redunzel. Tamershi Deween was kind of a floater in this tour. Willie the Pimp was played a couple times, instrumental, nice, good guitar solo vehicle. I don't think Ponty soloed in this as he did on the previous tour. I think it was just a Frank guitar solo, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that. but I'm pretty sure it's just a guitar solo vehicle. You got the Mr. Green Jeans, King Kong, Chunga's Revenge, Back into Mr. Green Jeans, those songs in encores. I think I have tapes in which sometimes not all three are played, and I don't know if they're weird edits or sometimes because of time Frank would only play like King Kong into Green Jeans or Chunga's or King Kong, Chunga's Revenge. So those three were kind of manipulated. I think, according to my tapes, it looks like they were. What else was played? Oh, the highlight of this tour, always the Montana, into George doing his improv, into Dupree's Paradise. I've said this many times. I will say it again. At the end of the improv section, George starts off on keyboards. Frank conducts the band. Sometimes there's like little jams. Sometimes there's solos. Because it's Ralph Humphrey on drums, it's usually definitely not as funky as it would become later in 74. It's very more King Crimson-esque, weird, and kind of, I guess, avant-garde maybe. It's a weird word to use, but definitely different. Definitely not as just like groovy as they would be in 74. But when these would wind down and then you'd get that cascade of like percussion into like the opening theme of Dupree's Paradise is one of the most beautiful moments of any Frank show ever. Yeah. So, also, so like I said, also is Farther Oblivion was played early in the tour. That is the really long song that features Gregory Peccary, usually then a Jean-Luc Ponty solo. Part of Gregory Peccary, the Stanopool section, it would become the Stanopool section in Gregory Peccary. Then you get a Jean-Luc Ponty solo. Then you get what would become the Bebop Tango. Then you usually get a Bruce Fowler solo and like some Frank conducting and possibly other solos. And then it ends in Cucamonga. During this tour, Frank realized Bebop Tango was its own song, and so Bebop Tango gets debuted as its own song on this tour and would become its own song on the following tour. What else gets played that I have not mentioned? I don't think anything else gets played that I have not mentioned. Oh, Inca Roads is played. This is the Cocktail Lounge version in which George kind of Cocktail Lounge sings the opening vocals, and then you run into the post-solo section with solos during there. And so, yeah, that's all you pretty much get on this tour. Really good songs played by a really good band with really good solos, and yeah, check out Road Tapes Venue 2 immediately. That's the best thing to listen to. Then go check out Peak Antique, Beat the Boots, the Stockholm show, 73. Both those are pretty much out there on YouTube. Other good shows. The Munich, Germany show is pretty good. Pretty good B+ sound quality. Again, the same songs played on everything else. There is a really good Bologna, Italy show. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Again, same songs that are played on others, but this is actually a pretty good sound quality tape. And then the Copenhagen show has some pretty good stuff on it. That is from 8/18/73. So there's not a lot of stuff out there, but all of it is enjoyable and good, and maybe not good sound quality, but good performances. That's all I got to say about this tour. Yay, we're done with 6. We're on to the top 5. Let me know what you think of this tour over those shows. Comment, all that stuff. Subscribe. Spread the word. Enjoy yourself. Stay warm. It's cold here in Texas again. It was hot yesterday. Now it's cold again. All right. Peace. Take care, y'all. Bye.